Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Dynamic Sketching. This is the master classes, final week. Hope you guys have been enjoying what we've been doing so far, but I wanted to give you a preview of what to expect for Dynamic 2. So today we're here at the Military Museum in El Monte, California, and I'll actually give you a website link and all that just to check it out. But really cool place, just to give you a little preview of what to expect for next term as well. Not only the Military Museum, we'll be going to a lot of different places. So this is more of an introduction to more the mechanical side of the stuff we'll be doing. For today, I'll be walking around, show you a few of the machines, and maybe do a demo for you just to give you a little bit of a taste. So let's go from here. Alright you guys, I kind of settled in here and we're going to take a look at one of these tanks, and I'm going to do a quick demo for you just to give you a sense of how the shapes we've been playing with translates easily to the mechanical side as well. Again, there really is no difference in terms of approaching an organic plant or an extremely large tank. And that's the only thing that's going to throw you off is the scale alone when you see something like this up close. And I hope you guys can have access to something like this that's around you locally. But again, if you don't, you can always just go online, look at reference. But if you do get a chance to see something like this, please go out and take a look, because the scale alone will really, really be impressive. So I'm going to do a quick demo for you. I'm using a flat Copic marker. I'm going to do very gestural strokes with this one, kind of like the demo I did before with the bird, but just to show you how easily it translates. And again, you're just building with forms and shapes, boxes and triangles. Now, you're going to need a basic understanding of perspective for this, and I hope a lot of you guys have done some perspective, or at least a good sense of it, your 1 point, 2 point, and that's all you really need. You're not going to sit here and plot any of that perspective out anyways, so you're going to be doing a lot of eyeing of perspective, and as long as you can do that pretty well, which hopefully the training we've been doing for the first 8 weeks will help that, then this should be easy enough. Just a quick lay-in. Now the training and the warm-ups we've been doing, especially with the ellipses and line work, is going to come into play heavily here, because with vehicles you have wheels, and wheels are all ellipses and they're all in perspective, and if you can't get your ellipses right, it's going to stand out. And no cheating, no ellipse guides, no rulers. The idea here is that, again, you're not trying to get a photograph of what you're seeing. This is a translation of what you're seeing, so it's an interpretation. There are a lot of small little details, nuts and bolts and little sections and all that, so you kind of have to pick and choose what you want to detail, kind of like the whole focal point idea. All right, got a good lay-in here. Now the pen I'm going to use is a Faber-Castell, kind of like the brown ones we've been using, but I picked up a set of a bit more saturated color orange, and I wanted to test them out, and I thought that'd be kind of cool to use here on the demo, just to show you how they look. And I hope they turn out nice, but we'll see. Dark enough. piece by piece, section by section. Don't rush it. Don't jump all over the place. Stick to one area first and build it out. Again, this is just a preview of what's to come. We'll be going to many different kinds of places for Dynamic 2. And again, kind of like what we did with the Arboretum, we did the redesign. We'd be doing that for the tanks as well and the mechanical stuff. So it's a lot more redesigning projects, a lot more storytelling, a lot of concept, basically entertainment. The other kind of places we'll see, train museums, car museums, classic cars, and probably one of my favorite places are, airplane museums. So all that if you join the second class. Wherever you do live currently, definitely do research online. Find out what is located within your area. Generally, you'll find typical museums anywhere you live, but places like this can be a little bit harder to come by. But you just never know. Laying is almost done, and I'm using basically the medium sized pen just to get all my line work and construction lines down. And I'll come in with a heavier pen as usual, and I'll darken everything up. In the track area, there's a huge amount of detail that I'm seeing. What's going to help you a lot is looking at shadows. What's in cast shadow, and if it is in cast shadow, be more gestural about it, more generic in terms of your shapes. And don't sit there trying to detail every single little thing out. Okay, let's go a little heavier. Fill in some of these darks. Definitely going to keep that attention and focal point in this area right up here in the front. Kind of leave everything else faded. I'm going to come back in with the marker a little later and really hit some of those darks up. Bit of cross hatching. And when it comes to tanks, basically what they are is, well, especially if you look at Sherman tanks or M60s or even the Abrams, it's basically a box with a birthday cake on it with a candle coming out the side. If you look at it that simply, that's all it really is. Come in here with the marker real quick and darken some of these spots up. What I highly suggest you guys do, especially when you're drawing on site, is start drawing like this. Get as far as you can, even if it's like the first or second step of laying in shapes. Take a photograph of your subject and then finish it with detail when you get home. It's the initial lay-in that's the most important thing, so make sure you're getting that correct on site and then move on. Go to another subject and keep drawing, because you're going to be sitting here maybe 15 minutes or so trying to finish this out with details, and ideally it's best to just keep moving on and do more drawings and lay-ins so that you have a collection of stuff that you can take back home and then add the finer details. I'll do a quick scan of this and add a few more details when I get back, and I'll put it up and you guys can check it out. But this is initial lay-in and a grayscale with some detailed lines, and from here I'll take a photograph and we'll go from there. Okay guys, so we are at the LA Zoo right now, just showing you a new location, trying to give you the sense of things to expect, and we're going to be going into animals right now. So I'm actually looking at a bunch of giraffes, and again, moving animals, that's going to be a tough one. So we were at the military museum before, so you saw a lot of tanks and vehicles, and they're going to be stationary for you, so even the plants and stuff like that. When we're at the Arboretum, the zoo, a couple of things are going to be a challenge. One, they are moving. They're animals. They're living things. So they're not going to stay still very long for you. At the very most, they'll stay, for you for a couple seconds. The trick here is to lay in your initial pose as quick as you can. Wait for the animal to get into a similar pose. And you got to be patient with this one. Because if you're not going to get the exact drawing that you want. Speed will be critical, but just being patient. For one, when you look at animals, insects, whatever, generally they all share the exact same proportions. They look similar. So if one is turned looking in another direction, look at the one right next to it. It'll probably go into a similar pose for you. So right now I'm using a flat 3% brush. And I'm just doing a quick lay-in. Now, giraffes in general are really unique in their proportions. So you have to be patient with them. So these guys are moving around a lot, back and forth, but you just have to wait. Again, this is just a preview to show you guys what's to come. Switch to a pen. Again, building these with shapes. With these organic forms, unlike the military stuff we were doing before, you're going to go back to the most basic form, which was the ellipse. And you're going to use that a lot, especially with the organic stuff like animals and insects. It's going to be nothing but ellipses. Ellipses and cylinders. So as you can see, I'm moving pretty quick, but I want to. When you're in a situation like this, in an environment where you have, lots of people around you, going back and forth, it can be distracting. So you have to move quick so you can move to another location and just start, just keep drawing. So I had the initial lay-in with the marker. Now I've kind of reinforced it with the pen. Remember, you want to fit the entire sketch and drawing on the page. You don't want anything cutting off, so placement on paper will be really, really important. And it's tricky for something like this, for like a giraffe. For one, the scale is going to be offsetting because, it's not every day you see a giraffe. So just the scale, the size alone can be pretty intimidating at first. So placement on the page. Be careful with it. Now I'm just going to go into the few of the details, things like eyes. Eyes are going to be important. Animals, eyes are everything actually. There's a lot of personality behind them eyes. And a lot of times what people do is they'll just make a black dot. And it's not like that. Even if you have to kind of stylize it a little bit or whatever, it's got to have a little bit of personality behind it. Adding a few darks now. Keep in mind, we still want to attain a focal point, an area of interest. And for me, it's always going to be within the head area. And as it progresses down the neck into the body, that's where I'll start to fade in. Giraffes have this natural patterning on them. So I just want to indicate that. You don't want to sit there drawing every single little pattern spots on their body. So indication is really, really important. Making sure everything lines up in perspective. Now I'll pick out a few spots and I'll start to detail them out. I'm not going to fill them out dark yet. I just want to make sure I got all the patterning correct. Now I'm just doing a study of a single giraffe. It always looks nice when you have a sketch that includes not only the giraffe, or whatever subject you're drawing, but the environment around it as well. So pay attention to that. Placement on the page, but also add cast shadows. That'll give it a grounding. You don't want your drawing floating in the air. So whenever you see my sketches or anything, you'll usually have a cast shadow. Now, ideally, people will ask, how much detail should I put in? It's like, when I say focal point in the head area, well, when you have a sketch this large and the head is only this big, there's only so much detail you can put into it. So that's why it's always nice to do like a large full-body sketch like this as a study, and then do a close-up of the head, maybe a large sketch next to it of a detailed version of the face, so that you can get a lot more of the small stuff. Again, just indicating the patterning, and I'm not drawing exactly what I'm seeing up there. I'm not even looking up at it right now. I've just glanced at it. I know where the placements of things are, where the patterning stops, but I'll just make it up. And by the time I get to the end of the body, I'm actually gonna let it fade and vignette out. Like I had said before, gradation, vignetting, indication. I'm gonna start to darken up some of these little patches here. Keep in mind of gradation. So that now that I've drawn an outline of the pattern, on the top I'm gonna fill them in dark, but as I come down, I'll start to cross hatch them. And this will give that sense of gradation as it comes down. All right, and we'll start that gradation now. Start to just cross hatching. Go in alternate, directions. Don't just go in one. Continue on.
Wow, that's so nice.
Again, just indicate only. I'm gonna bump up to a thicker pen. We'll do a contour outline of it. Okay. I'm gonna put in a quick background. We'll add a few highlights just to bump that up a little bit. Add a few highlights. And we'll scan this in so that you guys can see it up close. But on-site sketching for a giraffe.